I'm Bob. I like coffee. I also like to tell stories. So here at the Bobcast Coffee, it's time for a coffee break. So take a coffee break with me and pour yourself a cup of your favorite Joe. By the time you're done with your coffee, you'll know something about me you really didn't need to know. But you'll have fun learning it. Just remember, my stories are true. For the most part.
This episode was brought to you by JM Insurance. JM Insurance. Do you have business, personal, or life insurance yet? Contact JM Insurance Agency to understand the benefits of insuring against the unforeseen circumstances of life. We have over 40 years of experience in the business and will guide with the best probable choice for your situation. Call us for more information at 405-353-0140 or visit our website at jminsurance.agency.
And today I'm enjoying, once again, coffee from my Elmer's restaurant. As you can see, I've got some friends in the audience today. Colorado Jeff is in Colorado, and Shan.
State of confusion.
So, enjoying.
Delicious. I've got some iced coffee.
Iced coffee, yes.
That's a good way of putting it.
All right, so today we're going to do something a little bit different, and we are going to tell a story back from the past, and I've got some friends to help me with it. So, as introduced, we have Jeff Morrow and Shan Scroggins.
Okay.
Believe it or not, this was my idea. All right, so we're going to have a couple of warning labels put on this episode. One, if you need an adult for any reason in the world, you shouldn't watch this one. All right, outside of that, let's give it a try. Shan.
Yes, hello, Bob. Glad to be here, Grandpa.
Grandpa, yeah, we are grandpas. We're all grandpa. Well, Jeff's not a grandpa.
Not as far as I know.
But he really knows how to treat a female impersonator.
Oh, so it's going to be like that.
Yeah, it's going to be like that. All right.
No.
So,
Anyway.
We all got to know each other back in the early 90s in wonderful Pasadena, California.
This is true.
But for years, you were referred to as Jeff from Van Nuys.
Yeah.
Because that's where you lived.
Lived in Van Nuys.
Yeah, and he was, and that was from the French, because when they arrived, they looked around and said, "Yes, this is Van Nuys."
It's Van Nuys, yeah.
Yeah.
This is Van Nuys.
Van Nuys. Oh, yes, it's Van Nuys.
Pasadena. Where was that apartment that we lived at?
It's not Mentor?
Catalina was the name of the Catalina and Union.
Yep.
And so, I'd lived there for a year before. I was going to acting school there at the American Academy. So was Jeff. Jeff was also American Academy director. That's what got me to Pasadena.
Yeah, and that's also the reason that the strings were all pulled together that we got to know Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn that.
Yeah, and also one of the other people that was there that we acted with was a guy named Carl. And so from Carl, and this leads us kind of into the story that we're going to kind of talk about, was Carl's roommate, who, when Carl decided that he was going to move out and kind of go someplace else, his roommate, whose name was Paul Cox.
Remember that name.
All right, Paul. What a wonderful individual.
Yeah. He decided that now, without having any place to live, that he was actually going to try something new. And Paul was kind of ahead of his time. He decided he didn't want to work at all either, and so he was just going to basically live on the streets. He decided, and he didn't have to. He was a able-bodied young man.
So what you're saying, he was more of an avant-garde,
a free spirit,
starving actor. He wasn't
even an actor,
and he wasn't starving either, and you'll find out why.
because but he was a parasite,
He was a parasite.
yes.
and so
Yeah, Paul was interesting.
So he made the decision that he was not going to live in his apartment there in Pasadena, which wasn't too far away where we lived, but he would decide to take up residency in the bushes inside of the Pasadena Public Library. And so that's where we kind of take up the story then.
Yes.
Paul then suddenly living in the bushes, and he says it was pretty nice there actually, because that nobody really bothered him. They didn't really know that he was there. The only problem is around 7 o'clock in the morning they would turn on the sprinklers. So for me that was a twofer. It's like, okay, you get your bed and a shower,
And a shower.
all in one. So
Hey, it works for me.
but then
It worked for him too.
but shortly after he made that decision, he then decided to start coming to our apartment.
So understand that in this realm of Paul, that I may have met Paul once. For a brief time, we had to stop over at the old apartment. Paul.
Yeah, where Carl
Yeah,
and Paul
and we had
were.
to pick something up, if I remember right. And Shan and I just walked in literally 2 minutes, and we were gone.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is all I've ever met of Paul.
And the next thing you know, the guys decided he's going to latch on to us. We suddenly became his lifeline, his support line, and
We became more than that. It was scary.
yeah, and we were just and our problem is that here in Oklahoma, you're just raised to kind of treat your neighbors nicely, be helpful, and it's hard to say no, And
Well, I mean, it's.
and we weren't jaded at that point.
And
We
he
were
took
definitely
advantage of
not
that.
jaded. We were in the realm of, man, you need a spot to hang out for a couple of hours. Yeah, come on by, not a problem.
Well, and even Jeff at that time, Jeff was, I can't remember, Jeff liked to borrow money from me a lot as well, too. And
But I paid you back.
He'd always say, I pay you back. Usually it was maybe 2 to 3 months later. No. It wasn't like an immediate, but he would pay me back eventually.
So this is the way Oklahomans understand life. Now, I'm not an Oklahoman native. I'm not. I'm a Texan. Shan?
Good.
We'll see you later. Good, nice to see you. We'll be at the
I'm
bar.
sorry, I did not know we had a Texan here.
Yeah. And Shan is from?
Well, I was actually born in California.
Yes. So of all the really weird people we have here, because Jeff was born in the wonderful state of
Iowa.
Ottumwa,
Iowa.
Not to be confused with Ohio.
Or Idaho.
But,
No, Idaho is the potatoes, Iowa's the corn.
You not the hoe.
Wait, Ottumwa, isn't that where Radar
O'Reilly's from. The nearest phone's 2 hours away by Moose or something. It's not right. It's not right. But yeah, the thing I most remember about Paul was every time I'd come over there, he'd be there. And one time, Shan and I went to Jack in the Box. We got some food, and we're going to eat. We're going to just chill out for a while. And just before I got there, I said, hopefully Paul won't be there. So we pull up, and guess who's waiting at the front door? Paul. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and we kind of called it too a little bit. We were looking for him, and sure enough, and it was just this common occurrence of Paul just showing up.
Wait. I have to, because we talked about this before we did and I was debating wholeheartedly inside whether I was going to ever reveal this. I was working that night, right, at the DoubleTree.
Mm-hmm.
I got off work early, and I drove by the house and saw Paul walking over to the front of the house. And I kept driving. I was really kind of hoping that maybe if I took a long drive, got a soda, drove around town for maybe an hour.
Yeah.
That he would.
And Paul's not a hard guy to miss. I mean, he was tall.
Yeah.
And he had the look about him. What was the look he had?
There was these monkeys that you would play a tambourine and.
The Samoan monkey.
Yeah, he had that little spiky hair that was kind of short.
That was definitely Paul.
Yeah, and there's many times too. I mean, that we would see Paul outside of it. I mean, one of the stories that Jeff always likes is I'd be walking along we were like, we knew other people around the neighborhood, and so we would walk to their houses every now and then. And so I remember one time walking with Paul over somewhere else, and he just has this disgusting fart that he lets off, and I'm right there behind him. I go, oh my gosh, oh. And it's really awful and terrible.
And we got in front of it.
When it comes to tooting the trumpet, Paul had, I mean, he was a world-class conductor.
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Yeah, and so we do that. So we get to the door of the place, and then Jeff is there, and so we're just waiting for. We knock on the door for the guy that we're waiting to see. Andrew was his name.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of waiting there, and all of a sudden Jeff farts, and we're right in this alcove of this apartment, and at the front door, and I can't escape it. I'm like, what the heck? And so finally the door opens, and I go rushing in, and I'm thinking, oh man, I got out of that. It was worse than the CS gas chamber at basic training. And so I get inside there, and I'm just going, oh man, okay, Andrew, thank you for opening the door and letting me in. And then what does Andrew do? He farts. Andrew farts right there.
And he was like, so Shan, how's it going?
And I went, what the heck? And so I had to go running even farther into there, and then I look at Jeff and I go, I got to start hanging out with a better class of people.
And Shan has this little guy in his face like, I don't believe this. 3 times in one. What's going on here?
You do realize that this is before cell phones. So there's no way they could have coordinated this, at the last minute just to get you. No.
Yeah. So farting was part of the package too there with Paul, and so it was a crazy time.
We were watching TV, and it was you, me, and Paul, and Shan, and it was some stupid show, and I said, God, this show stinks. And Shan pipes up, not as bad as Paul's farts. And I'm like, what did you say? I said, not as bad as Paul's farts. And Paul has a smile on his face.
Yeah,
yes, I fart. That's what I do.
He was proud of it. It was like his special talent.
We all have our superpower.
My raison de vivre, my reason for life. And so, anyway, but as time went by, and we began to become intimately aware of what Paul's diet was that caused these farts to happen, because we would typically be the ones that would pay for it.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Well, remember that one time when he came in, and we're eating our Jack in the Box, and he's like, do you have that tequila around? I want to try these limes. And he went in the bathroom, and Shan's like, I don't believe this. What did you have to say that for? I said, well, come on. At least he brought his own limes. He's like, he didn't bring them. He got them from the tree out back.
I know. Paul was the expert moocher. I mean, what he just knew.
No, wait. Listen, as rough as his gas was, he was smooth when it came to mooching.
Yes.
He was very good.
And that was like this, and again, as he mentioned, that he was always on the lookout for ways that he can mooch, even to looking at the tree out behind our place. And he would also be going through all of our cupboards, too. Whenever he would come by, he wouldn't just stay sitting there like a place to sit. He would be looking for, and we didn't have anything.
Remember the peanut butter thing? Remember the peanut butter thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let's do that real quick. Shan, I know you got peanut butter here. I know it. And I also know that you never have any crackers or bread to eat it with.
So what are you getting at, Paul?
Well, I brought some crackers, and I'm going to eat your peanut butter. That's right.
Okay, sounds reasonable to me. And that's all we had. We didn't have anything. We barely had any tequila, and I think it was that cheap Ralph's grocery tequila.
Oh, come on! Don't bring that nasty cheap Ralph's tequila.
You know that Shan and I were flush when we had tater tots and corn dogs.
And Paul, and so we would start hiding food in our own apartment, so that Paul couldn't find it.
Did you buy that nasty cheap Ralph's tequila? I got so sick on that once. I threw up so hard it came out my nose.
Yeah.
I mean, Nolan Ryan never threw anything harder.
That hard. Yeah.
But that was again why Paul was going out getting limes, because he knew that we had that cheap tequila in there, and the peanut butter and the crackers, and he would just eat it.
All right. So my brain knows the time frame that Paul quit hanging around. Well, and I know
Well, we started. It started reaching ahead a point of like, we got to do something about this guy. We got to start, because whenever we would go out to eat, Paul seemed to start being around us more and more often.
Oh, the McDonald's thing.
And so it became this thing that he always then wanted to tag along, and we were always too nice to tell him, no, Paul, you can't come along. And so we would end up buying his meal. And there was one time when he got like two. We went to McDonald's and he got like 2 Big Macs and a large fry and a shake and all this, and we were looking like, we don't have any money now for ourselves, so all of our money went to pay for his meal, and we got nothing. And we're just like, okay, this is it. And so we started then asking him ahead of time, Paul, do you have your, because he would always say, I don't have my wallet with him. You know, I left it back in the bushes.
No, it was behind a reference book in the library.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So we could only get it during library
I didn't
times.
know this.
Yeah. It was only during library times could he go in there and get his wallet.
Yeah.
Well, that's very creative. You got to admit.
We started telling him,
bring your wallet. Do you have your wallet? Do you have your wallet? And so finally, and this is after 4 or 5 times of us repeating this, it became almost a joke. Paul, do you have your wallet? No, I don't have my wallet. And so we say, okay, all right, and we begrudgingly bring him along. But finally, the day arrived. Paul comes in and announces, before we even ask him, I got my wallet. And we're like, oh yeah. And so we said, okay, well, let's go get something to eat. And so I can't remember where we went to. I may have been to McDonald's again. And we go there to the restaurant, and we go, okay, Paul, it's time to pay. All right, you got your wallet. Here you go. He goes, oh, yeah, I got my wallet. There's no money in it. And we're just like, what the heck? Again, like I said, he was an expert at mooching.
So Paul came up with the I don't know if he came up with the idea or if it was our constant hinting, but he was going to join the military.
Yeah.
The army. He was going to join the army.
And we're just like, oh, yes, thank you, Lord. It was his own idea.
It was his own idea.
But you know, with Paul, you just never know, if he's going to be able to make it. Because we started learning. Remember, we even went out to go ride horses one time, and he wanted to go, and he actually thought we were going to pay for his horse ride. He's like, give me a break. But we had to go out to Burbank by Griffith Park to do that. But yeah, and so by this time we're just done. And when he announced that, it was like, okay, whatever it's going to take.
Everything. Listen. I will lie. I will perjure myself. I will do anything I can to make sure you have a good possible shot at joining the military.
Yeah, and Bob did. I mean, we have to take it. Bob, you rose to the occasion in ways that I couldn't.
To the team.
In fact, I liken it to the ending of Grapes of Wrath. That they've already gone through hell, and it's at the end. They're in this flood, and it's just awful. And Rosa Sharon, the daughter, has lost her baby. I mean, it's ultimate tragedy Steinbeck came up with. But even in the midst of all the tragedy and awfulness, she still rose to the occasion to help a poor starving Okie that was there. And just for full disclosure, since she lost her baby, she still was able to lactate in her breasts, and so she then feeds the guy. And spoiler alert, this is how the book ends. But she's able to go to that extra to do something that's unthinkable, and that's what you did, Bob.
Right. See, I have a problem with referring to anything I've done in my life to breastfeeding another human.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't know what made me think of that reference.
Remember the time we were watching the movie? And he said, yeah, who brought these Jumpin' Jack, there's these Doritos, Jumpin' Jack cheese Doritos. And he kept saying, well, let's get out the Jumpin' Jack cheese. I said, no, Paul, we're going to wait till the end of the movie. All through the movie. I think we should, no, Paul, we're going to wait till the end. Finally, the end of the movie came. He's like, all right, show's over. Break out the Jumpin' Jack cheese. All right.
But so ultimately,
and ever since then, it was one of my catchphrases.
Yeah.
Sometimes the guys just gotta, break out the Jumpin' Jack cheese.
But the way that Bob went, well, I'll let you tell about how you went above and beyond.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Because he had to take a bath and he had to get his clothes.
And he ran around the bathtub.
To the house, and I wasn't working that day, and I'm sitting there watching TV or something. Not eating Jumping Jack cheese. And he just comes in and knocks on the door, and I let him in. I'm just like, and he smells terrible.
Yeah, I'm almost to the point where you're thinking they're not going to take him. They're not going to receive him at the processing.
I go, what are you doing, Paul? And he goes, well, I'm supposed to go see a recruiter to sign the paperwork to join the Army. And I'm just like, really? This is something special.
Suddenly the stars aligned.
But he smells horrible. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Paul, you want to put your best foot forward. You want to take a shower before you go. And he goes, yeah, that'd probably be a good thing. So he goes into the bathroom, and he's in there a long time. And I'm looking at his clothes just laying there in the living room, and I'm like, I understand these are a pair of jeans that probably have been worn 24/7 for the last 30 days.
Yeah, at least.
Right? And I pick them up, and the crotch is ripped out right along the neck next to the seam. There's no saving that. You can't fix that. Right? But I'm thinking, if he can walk in without his crotch showing, it gives him a better chance. Once he signs the line, it can rip open his all at once.
Yeah,
right? He can dance the merengue there. It doesn't bother me at that point. So while he's in the shower, I'm sewing away his pants, and I am putting a fine seam, and it is moist.
Aromatic?
Aromatic.
Man, Bob. That's what I'm saying. You went full Rosa Sharon.
Yeah.
This is like straight out of Steinbeck, Bob. You're Baba Sharon.
But I get it all tied off, and it's gonna hold for a little bit. The fabric itself is gone. It's good, and I've got this stitched. If I would have had a sewing machine, I could have done better, but I did it by hand.
Man!
Finally, about an hour later, he comes out of the bathroom, and he actually looks good. All right, and I'm sitting there looking at him and go, "What's different?" I mean, besides you're clean. I go,
Monsieur Noel has the look of the vagabond.
He's clean shaven.
Wait, how did that happen?
He used one of your razors.
I threw away all the razors that were in the bathroom after this.
Yeah.
There's no way he could have used all of them.
I can handle sewing the crotch, but using a razor after
I draw the line. So, Paul gets dressed, never says thank you, and he goes walking off to the recruiter, which I didn't feel bad. Should I drive him over to the recruiter? No, recruiter was just 3 blocks away from us. I mean, it was right there. So, bye, Paul. And I go back, and I got to go to the bathroom because I've been waiting several hours now to go to the bathroom. I go in, I gather up the razors, drop them in the trash, right? And I turn around and I pull back the curtain. Paul did not take a shower. Paul took a bath. He slept in the bath. 30 days of scum. And you know how if you don't shower or clean your shower after maybe 3 or 4 months,
Yeah.
and you start getting that ring around there, and that's just wrong, right? Well, I hate rings, so I'm scrubbing that at least once a week. I scrub the tub because I hate rings.
Well,
right,
Bob knew just how that tub looked.
It was
master of the tub.
It was in great shape. I walked in there and it looked like there was a 3-year scum ring. So I just immediately, I haven't gone to the bathroom yet because it smells. And I get in there and I start scrubbing. And I
think you were in there for a long time because I remember I was like, "What is Bob doing in there?"
The scrub brush that we had immediately caked up. So I went and I got the Ajax and I put Ajax in there and it just gummed and made a paste. And so finally what I did is I took paper towels and I scraped the side and then I scrubbed it and I scraped it again. I scrubbed it and I finally got down to what was tub again.
And this is how Paul Paste was born.
Yeah. Okay. So when it's all said and done, now I've been in it for like an hour and a half, cleaning up after Paul, and I'm like, and I just want to go sit down. I just want to go sit in the living room, get something to drink, and just try to forget this.
Yeah.
And I step out of the bathroom and I'm like, I still gotta pee. So.
Yeah, and I think after that we never saw Paul again, right?
That was it. I think he made it in.
Yeah, and he just they may have taken him just right away, because he never showed up again, and that's really the last that we've ever seen of Paul, right, Jeff? Or was it?
Bob, we have a surprise for you.
No guess. No.
Come on in here, Paul. Come on in here, Paul.
Come on, Paul Cox, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Cox. Hi, Bob.
And Bob strangles himself.
Yeah, he's been in the back of the pilot this whole time on our way over here. So come on in, Paul.
He's got crackers and some wine. And he knows you got cheese. And he knows you got peanut butter. He knows it.
So yeah. Now, all this said, Paul was not an evil person. I honestly do not think he was evil at all. I think he just was that lost.
Yeah, and he was ahead of his time now. So many people nowadays would be happy to live in the bushes by the passing of the library.
Are you kidding me? There's a waiting list.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've got to hear the whole story of
Paul Cox.
Jeff.
Yes.
Next time you're in town, let's do this again.
I'd like that very much.
Because there are more stories.
Oh,
yes. Like the faithful trip to get the ammo boxes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was...
MRE runs.
Yeah.
And don't forget the time we walked down Colorado Boulevard with backpacks full of coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah.
That's good, too.
Good times.
Through your hole.
Up your kill.